What's going on, everybody? My name is Ben Johnson. Welcome to your second Windows 8 development tutorial. Now, in the last tutorial I spoke about the programs we need to actually start developing Windows 8 Metro style apps, so you should already have Visual Studios installed on your computer by now. If you don't, back to the last tutorial and watch that where you find that information out. Now, I want to do some housekeeping here because in the last tutorial I forgot to mention a major requirement for developing Windows 8 apps, and that is you actually have to have Windows 8 installed on your computer and running it when you're developing. And this shouldn't be any surprise. I mean, it's with most platforms. For example, if you're developing a Mac application, you develop it on a Mac. You don't develop it on a Windows PC, and sort of the same thing with this. If you're developing an application for a certain platform, you should already own that platform. So yeah, it shouldn't come to any surprise to any of you, but if you do run Windows 7 or if you run the ancient Windows XP or Vista, even worse, you'll need that Windows 8 to actually get started developing Windows 8 apps. Alright, so I'm going to start off by going into the Start menu and launching Visual Studio Express for Windows 8. And to do this, all you do is click on the tile with the infinity logo there. I guess you can call it an infinity logo. So I'm going to click that one to launch it up. And by now you should have already registered your copy with Microsoft and created that temporary developer account. So this is the interface you get presented with. We've got the standard title bar, which has the minimize and maximize and the close button here. We've got the menu bar, which should be familiar to all of you. And we've also got the toolbar, and we've got multiple windows down here, which I'll explore later in this tutorial and in this series. So I want to start off by talking about the Start page. And here we have multiple options, such as starting a new project, opening a new project, opening an existing project, and also connecting to a Team Foundation server, which I'm not going to go into for this series. You can also open recent projects down here. Now, in the middle here, in this white space, we've got certain options to access different resources relating to Windows 8 development. We can find resources on selling your apps in the App Store and developing, designing, and that sort of thing. So you can access multiple resources through this interface. So we're going to start off by creating a new project, and this can be done multiple ways. It can be done with the Start page by going New Project in the left hand side, or we can go File, New Project. So I'm just going to click it in this Start page, and this will bring up a new dialog. Now, when you install Visual Studios, you'll have multiple options and different templates that already become pre-installed with it. And you can see we've got templates for JavaScript, Visual Basic, Visual C#, and Visual C++. Now there's different options depending on what programming language you choose, but for the purposes of this series I'm going to stick with C#, which is sort of based on C, so that's why I've chosen it, whether you've got experience in Objective-C, Java, or any other C-based language like PHP. You should be able to pick up Visual C#. If you haven't programmed before, or if you've done a different programming language, you should be alright with this. I'll try and explain as best I can all the programming concepts, but I may tend to go a little bit fast for the beginners. So if you have any problems, just leave a comment and I'll try and help you out with that. Alright, and there's also other resources online where you can find help also about certain topics I talk about that you don't understand. So you don't have to be left behind. So I just want to talk about my past, where when I started programming, I started at the age of 10. I started with Visual Basic, which is sort of like a really simplified language. It's sort of the most English you can get without that extra syntax that comes with other programming languages. So I started with Visual Basics, but I wouldn't know how to use Visual Basic. Well, I could sort of pick it up, but since I'm used to that C# and I have been doing Objective-C for a long time, so I'll be used to the C syntax, and that's one of the main reasons that I've decided to go with Visual C#. And this is sort of standard. Most languages use this C-type syntax. So we're going to be using Visual C# to develop our application, and that's just the programming language we're going to use to actually make our application do stuff. So we're going to start off with a blank application template, so select that, and we're just going to call this Hello World. And we're going to click OK. Well, it doesn't like that, so I'm just going to browse and delete my one I've already got there. So I'm going to go cancel and OK. Alright, so create your project. Alright, so when you load your project up, you'll be loaded with all this code, and maybe it's just jibble jabble or blah 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 to you, but we shouldn't have to worry about that for the moment. For this tutorial, we're only interested in this main page.xaml. So you want to click that, double click it to make sure it loads it up. And this is our main page where it shows the content that we've selected in the Solution Explorer. And I didn't really go through here. So this Solution Explorer is where you find all your project files that are included in your project. So we can expand out different sections of these categories in our solution, and that's where you find all the files associated with your project. Down here we've got properties where you can find properties of a certain object you selected, maybe a file or whatever, and it will change depending on that. Now we've sort of got this split view at the moment, which I'm not a fan of, so I'm going to bring this down to view it like that. And we've got output, which is sort of the debug window, and we've also got some other windows that pop up depending on if you click them on. They pop up, but we'll just leave it like that. So what we want to do is you want to go to the toolbar, and I'm going to pin this here because I don't like the auto hide feature that it is using. I don't like it, so I'm going to pin that here, but you don't have to. And we're going to start by doing the most basic thing, and we're just going to add a label. And this is called a text block when developing Windows 8 applications. Some of these items you probably recognize. They're pretty standard, like radio button, text box, or text field, depending on what platform you come from, button, checkbox, combo box. I mean, some of these items are really standard. Some are a little bit different than you expect, but most of the time you can actually tell what it is. So we're going to drag over a text block into our canvas we've got appearing here. So make sure you got that main page.xaml selected, and you can see it appeared there, but it's quite small. So I'm going to expand this out using those little dots at the end, and I'm just going to reposition it just to about the middle as best I can. And again, it's still small, so what we're going to use is the actual properties of the selected object, and as I said, the selected object becomes what is viewed in this property window. So I'm going to bring that up, and we're going to find the actual font size to actually change that. So that's in the text category, and you can see that we've got this font selection that we can choose, but I'm going to leave it like that. And I'm just going to bring up the font size to 32, and you can notice that it does get a lot bigger and recognizable. So to change this, we could do this in the property window. We could change the text property, or we could simply just double click it and delete it. And I'm going to type in hello world, just like that. Alright, and I'll just position it nicely. That's about right. Maybe position it in the middle. I'm a bit fussy. And there you go. Alright, so we've got our text block. I want to call it text label, but I don't know why they call it text block. Anyway, so we've got that there. And let's go ahead and run it and see how it looks. So to do this, all we do is go up to our toolbar and click the green button there that looks like a play button. So pretty simple, and it should say local machine or something like that. And so you click that one, and it'll start to build the project. And as you can see, it's loading up, and there we go. We've got the Hello World text label appearing there. And that's it. That's our application. We just made that. We dragged text block over and we changed the text to Hello World. We changed the font, and that's how it appears in the application. Now, if I go into the start menu, you can see that we've got this application edit that's called Hello World because um, our project name was Hello World, so they called the application Hello World, and that's our application that we can always access from the start menu. But I personally don't like all my prototype apps appearing there, so I'm going to just unpin it from start. And we can get back to our desktop, and you can see it here, and we've just stopped it. We can stop it here, like so. Alright, so that's about it for today's tutorial. I'll see you guys later, and remember to subscribe if you haven't.